Before we jump into the main topic of the video, I gotta tell y'all that we officially got confirmation that the second Poppy Playtime book is definitely happening. Now, we don't know much yet about what's gonna be revealed in Poppy Playtime YA number 1, but just knowing we're getting 288 pages of official lore is enough to hype up any Playtime fan. Alright, now let's get to the main topic of the video. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all have already seen that image of one of the rooms from Chapter 4. At first glance, it's just a regular room, but if you look closer, there's a pretty interesting painting with some familiar faces. But what really caught people's attention was this weird silhouette of a monster we've never seen before. And of course, theories started flying around instantly. Could this be the one and only Jolly Clown we've known about for a while now? Or maybe Jolly is actually a prototype for a brand new character that the devs just sneakily teased us with? We'll definitely break down this image in more detail later. But for now, I want to talk a little about Daisy. A lot of people still remember her because originally she was supposed to show up in musical memory instead of Bunzo Bunny. But that ain't even the most interesting part. Besides Daisy, the devs were working on a whole bunch of other characters during Chapter 2's development. And honestly, there's a pretty good chance that at least one of them could show up in Chapter 5. Out of all these scrapped characters, 3 stand out the most. First up, we got the monkey. And while the concept is kind of cool, I just don't see this character getting even a little bit of screen time. On the other hand, the bluebird. Now that's a solid pick for a secondary or even tertiary character. I mean, just imagine going up against a monster that can actually fly. But what really got me hooked was another clown concept, supposedly Jolly, and also a concept of a fox dressed as a jester. Now, if we're being real, a jester is basically just another type of clown on a surface level. And with that in mind, we've already got a bunch of hints suggesting that some kind of clown has to exist in Poppy Playtime. Yet, throughout all 4 chapters, we haven't seen anything even close to that. On top of that, we got a few more leaks that are straight up screaming that some kind of clown is definitely showing up in the next chapter. And that's exactly what we're gonna break down, along with a ton of other possible new characters. We'll also talk about those who didn't get enough attention, but absolutely need to show up in Chapter 5. Oh, and of course, we have to do a deep dive into that mysterious image. I promise by the time you finish watching this video, you'll know everything about who's likely making it into the next chapter and who's definitely not. So please make sure to watch till the end, because that's the best way to help the channel grow even bigger. Oh, and we're not forgetting a few updates from the devs either. Let's start with Huggy, who's made an epic return to our lives. Just want to say right away, despite some theories about Huggy maybe being a good guy or whatever, I'm more than sure he's going to be on the prototype side and probably won't play a huge role in the new chapter. But we'll get into that in detail a bit later. I've already seen a bunch of theories about who's going to show up in Chapter 5, and honestly, some of them just make me want to laugh. Some people seriously think that little chick from the Bunzo Bunny comic could be Poe, and just cause they showed him once, that means he's got to be in Chapter 5? Come on! That theory makes me want to laugh and cry at the same time. And don't even get me started on the nightmare critters. They weren't even supposed to be part of the story originally. They were just thrown in to fill gaps. And yeah, their so-called leader, Baba Chops, was a total letdown. But somehow, the almighty and terrifying Poe is supposed to wipe us out in Chapter 5? Okay. Fan favorite Braun also popped up in theories about Chapter 5. But Isaac already said they kept trying to add him, and it never worked out. Then he mentioned that since they couldn't fit Braun into the story properly, they at least made that VHS tape you're looking at right now. So, yeah, no Braun in Chapter 5. And as for Pianosaurus making a comeback, that's a whole different joke. Just look at this response. It's pretty clear. Like the Nightmare Critters, Pianosaurus was never canon. So thinking about his return is just wishful thinking at best. Alright, looks like we've dealt with all the nonsense, so now we can move on to the more interesting possibilities. Y'all remember that mysterious hat they've been teasing for ages, right? By now, it's no secret that all those hints were leading up to one of the best characters in Poppy Playtime history, Dooughey the Doughman. And honestly, one of the concept designs even came kinda close to his actual look. But aside from all those hats, we once saw a weird image with some kind of silhouette hidden in it. Before the gameplay trailer dropped, we were sure those hats and that clown were pointing to a specific character, but now everything's changed, and this mysterious clown might actually be one of the new monsters. We know for sure it's not Dooughey, so who the hell is this clown? If you follow fan-made content, you've probably seen a dude named Lulu the Clown, and I gotta admit, he caught my attention. Now, obviously, we're not going to see him exactly as he appears in fan concepts, but something similar could definitely show up in Chapter 5. We all know how much Mob Entertainment loves their Easter eggs and hidden references. That being said, I don't think he's going to follow Doughy's story arc. I seriously doubt they'll give us another friendly character who turns on us in the end. We can clearly see our old friend Huggy, who, without a doubt, will be making an appearance in Chapter 5. From the Smiling Critters lineup, we've got the well-known Catnap and Dog Day, as well as the lesser-known Bubba Bubbaphant. Now, while we'll discuss the chances of the first two returning later, I have no idea why the devs included Bubba here. Even if we consider his voice line from Chapter 3,
"Remember about you?"
it's obvious that this character is 100% dead. We can also spot PJ Pugapillar, who first appeared in Chapter 2. Honestly, I wouldn't bet on her coming back, and most likely, just like Bubba Bubbaphant, this is nothing more than a fun Easter egg for fans. The same goes for the legendary Killy Willy, who is purely a fan-made character. He's not canon and definitely won't be in Chapter 5, no matter how much people want him to be. This way, the devs simply showed their respect for Poppy Playtime fans. Now, only two characters remain in this image, Daisy and an unknown monster. Let's start with Daisy, who is essentially a rejected toy that made kids scared and cry. Despite originally being planned as an antagonist, the exact reasons for her removal are still unknown. There's actually a solid chance that Daisy could appear in Chapter 5 as a mini-game character or a short-term side character, kind of like Pianosaurus. One major reason for this is that she has way too many fans, and adding her as a symbolic character would be a great move. Now, the most mysterious figure in this lineup is the one we've never seen before. All we know about him is that he's pretty big and blue. At first glance, you might think it's Dooughey, the character everyone instantly fell in love with after Chapter 4's release. However, there are a few inconsistencies that suggest otherwise. First off, we can clearly see that this character has pink hands or gloves and a solid colored body, which completely rules out any connection to our beloved Dooughey. Also, maybe it's just me, but it kind of looks like this character has a pair of small horns or something, while Dooughey only has his perfectly fitting hat. Now, if we go back to one of the leaks that was originally tied to Chapter 4, the encrypted clown, who Dooughey definitely isn't, and judging by the size of this new character's body, we can assume that this mysterious clown might actually turn out to be one of the new antagonists in Chapter 5. Dooughey the Doughman is hands down one of the craziest characters in Poppy Playtime history. His whole tragic fate really hit people hard. No lie, watching his downfall was insanely sad. And not only did his whole purpose in life get wrecked in like an hour, but in the end, we straight up finished him off. Or maybe not. In this video, we're gonna break down the chances of Dooughey actually surviving. Spoiler, they're pretty high, and talk about how his comeback could seriously impact us. In one of the missions, we saw that Dooughey is terrified of the cold, which totally makes sense considering what he's made of. And it was that very same cold that let us stop him and, well, save our own skin.
You and Poppy! It's all
kill you! Kill everyone who hurts me! Can't trust anyone! The gentle voices lie! You lie! I'm trying to be better, to be who they needed. Not smart enough, not good enough, not...
But right off the bat, something felt kinda off. Like, did we really take down an almost immortal monster that easily? I mean, not only can he squeeze through literally any opening, but he's also crazy strong. You probably figured that out yourself just by watching how effortlessly he tore Pianosaurus into pieces. And let's be real, it'd be way too simple if a big boy like that just died at the hands of the player just cause he got hit with some cold and a press. Sure, those are solid reasons. But even right before his so-called death, we literally saw him still talking, which means he was very much alive. On top of that, we all know that kinda extreme cold ain't gonna last forever. Sooner or later, Dooughey's gonna thaw out. And since we never actually saw his frozen body shatter into pieces, there's a good chance that once he thaws, he'll just keep going like nothing happened. And that's where things get really interesting. We all remember exactly who Dooughey blames for what happened to Safe Haven.
It all started with you. You and her. It was you who ruined everything! No, that's not true. They jump-started the generator. They destroyed everything! I'll kill you!
But over time, we figured out that all that rage and negativity were really just coming from one test subject, Kevin. Meanwhile, Jack and Matthew still had a pretty positive attitude toward us. It's easy to say that even if Dooughey did survive, that's only gonna make things worse for us. Our last moments with him were, well, not exactly friendly. But there's still one thing Dooughey hates even more than us, and he straight up told us about it in the Playzone.
This was once a work yard, you know. A dozen of us, maybe two, would be here at any given time. They let us work. Whatever they wanted us to do, we'd do it. There were those of us who couldn't. Or wouldn't. At night, when no one important was watching, they'd take them. Take them in here. We only got food for one of you this week. They'd say, which of you will it be? They watch up there. It was usually over within minutes. And the guards, they'd be hysterical. Nobody died. No, because then people would know. But the next day and every day after, they would work. Oh yeah, hard as they could. And they'd never cause trouble again.
And besides all those who made him suffer, mainly the scientists and guards, there were even some experiments Dooughey might hate more than us and Poppy. The events of Hour of Joy messed with every monster, no matter which side they ended up on. Everyone remembers what Poppy said, that the first days after that damn hour were pure hell, and the main reason for that was hunger. Even when we first met Dooughey, he straight up mentioned it. And once all the meat was gone, every toy had to start fighting to survive, including those in Safe Haven. And from what I gathered from one of the tapes, some of the Safe Haven residents were the ones constantly finding food. That same tape also dropped one very interesting detail.
You're okay. Look at me. I'm a mess.
Poppy, what's going on?
We were trying to bring supplies back up to the elevator, but we got jumped. Had to turn all the way back around. They took everything we had. Right after one of them picked my leg.
How is he, Doc?
Not too bad. He'll live.
See?
Keep Ike clean. Could get infected otherwise.
So, what do we do now?
The prototype, or at least one of his goons, was constantly hunting down the good monsters, and not only stealing their food, but straight up trying to kill them whenever possible. So of course, Dooughey hated the one responsible for all of this, the prototype. Now, if Dooughey did survive the events of Chapter 4, he's got a huge problem ahead of him. He's left with only 3 choices. Keep chasing us down and trying to kill us, except that we're not actually the bad guys and switch to our side, or go full-on loner and turn against everyone. And considering there's like a 95% chance that Chapter 5 will be the final game, the idea of Dooughey joining us and actually helping us out again seems like the most logical outcome. Now let's take a step back and remember why Dooughey was so against Poppy's plan to destroy Playtime Factory in the first place.
The toys out there in Safe Haven, they're my family. I understand what Poppy wants, what she believes is right. Destroy the factory, destroy him. But I ask you to consider, if we throw everything away, everyone, just to kill the prototype, how much do we waste? I know the others might believe it's right, that we should bury everything, but let's just think about it.
And as hard as it is to accept, Safe Haven is gone. That means everyone Dooughey loved and protected is dead, all because of the prototype. And since Safe Haven was the only thing really holding him back, now there's nothing stopping him from wiping out everything that reminds him of those horrific events. Considering just how insanely powerful Dooughey is, his help in either fighting the prototype or pulling off Poppy's one and only plan would be huge. But Dooughey himself has pointed out more than once that the plan to blow up the Foundation and eventually the entire Playtime Co. facility is insanely dangerous for everyone. So now, the big question is, how does Dooughey go from a crazed, murderous maniac hellbent on killing us to a hero we'll never forget? And that's where a certain recorded conversation between Jack's parents and Dooughey comes into play.
Are you?
Jack? Honey, it's me. It's Mommy.
Mommy?
Yes. Yes! It's Mommy and Daddy. You remember, don't you?
Leave me alone.
Hey, you'll be okay, I promise. Mommy's only here to talk.
No, I don't want to talk. Get out! Susan, I think we should leave.
Jackie, I'm staying right here. I'm not leaving you. Not ever again. Do you hear me?
The gentle voices lie. I know what they do. They lie, and they poke, and they hurt. Susan, get away from me!
Jack? Mommy won't lie to you, Jackie. Mommy won't hurt you. I'd never hurt you.
Hey, open this door! Oh, God. Susan! Please, open the door!
We all get that Dooughey is a lost and broken monster, completely unable to trust anyone because each of his personalities is living its own life. And that horrifying moment when he transforms into that salamander-like nightmare, yeah, that perfectly illustrates just how torn apart he really is. Since Dooughey has literally lost everything that ever mattered to him, I've got a strong feeling that he will be the one to plant the bombs and blow up the Foundation while we keep the prototype distracted. And chances are, when Playtime Co. finally goes up in flames, Dooughey will go down with it, sacrificing himself for us and forever being remembered as a true hero. Among the long-forgotten characters left behind by the devs, there's one monster that fans have always found super interesting: Brawn, the dinosaur. He even has a full recording of his experiment. But as former Mob Entertainment employee Isaac once said, the devs kept trying to add him to the game, yet something always went wrong. And here's the key thing to understand. They weren't just trying to add Brawn, they wanted to bring in his full-scale version. And now, knowing what we do, that legendary Dog Day scene we got might not have even existed in the first place.
No! Leave me! Please! Just go! Run! Run!
Originally, Brawn was supposed to take that spot, but over time, it's become clear that the devs, even after all these years, still haven't figured out the perfect way to add him to the game. But don't worry, like I've told you many times before, Chapter 5 is most likely the final chapter, which means there's a good chance we'll see Brawn in some kind of mini version. Aside from these characters, we also have Catbee and Candy Cat, but seeing their full-scale versions is nothing more than a dream at this point, so I don't really see the point in discussing them. Instead, let's talk about the ones who might actually return soon as full-fledged, massive monsters. Now, we can finally say with confidence, Chapter 5 has to conclude the story of Poppy Playtime, which means it's time to talk about who we might see again. I don't think anyone will be shocked if I say Huggy Wuggy. All right, we'll get to Huggy and his potentially major role later. But for now, let's talk about everyone else. Drop your own ratings for how likely each character is to return in the comments. But keep in mind, this is the final chapter, and everything will revolve around the prototype. The first so-called victim of the prototype, none other than Mommy Longlegs.
What have you done? You make me part of him! You can't do this to me!
What stood out to me the most were her words about not wanting to be a part of him. Judging by what's left of Mommy, it would be foolish to claim she'll return in Chapter 5 in the classic form we're used to seeing her. But let's not forget that Playtime's labs are home to mind-bending technologies. And now that the prototype is in charge, all their developments are literally in his head. That means, while it's small, there's still a chance that Mommy Longlegs might come back. She could appear as Mommy 2.0 or more likely as part of the prototype's body. But as the original Mommy Longlegs, we definitely won't see her in that form. Still, I'd love to see that pink beauty again. Aside from Mommy, there's another missing piece in the prototype's puzzle, Catnap, the circumstances of his death or maybe his survival, which still haunt me to this day. Take note of how this so-called incident unfolded. At first glance, it seems like the prototype's claw pierced Catnap's head completely, and it looks pretty obvious, but this is Mob Entertainment we're talking about. They're capable of anything, as we saw with Huggy. But take a closer look. Now, once more, the prototype's claw hits precisely the center of Catnap's mouth. And despite the blood, you can clearly see that no vital organ, specifically the brain or the arteries carrying blood from the neck, has been damaged. This makes it quite possible that Catnap survived, and as a result, his return in Chapter 5 is very likely. I know this might sound crazy, but you remember we're dealing with the prototype and his labs. And if we're talking about Catnap, we can't ignore his complete opposite, Dooughey. This guy was one of the most intriguing characters in Chapter 3, and thanks to him, we learned a lot of new things.
Come to save us. Nothing left to save. Not here. Lord Catnap's home, Angel. Their home. A myriad pairs of eyes are on you now. Watching, waiting, hungry. They want nothing more than to crawl beneath your skin and eat away at you bit by little bit. Fill what feels empty inside themselves. That thing, Catnap, the prototype is his god, and this is what he does to heretics. We try to fight it, the prototype's control. I am the last of the smiling critters.
I think everyone felt a little something in their heart at this moment. But if we put emotions aside and think logically, Dooughey is alive. His body was simply taken over by the mini critters. And if we remember the final scene with him, I didn't notice anything that suggested a fatal outcome for him. We easily escaped from him and shut the door right in his face, interrupting his chase. But he's still alive, and you probably can't argue with that. Unlike Miss Delight, who definitely won't be coming back, at least because we split her body into 2 parts. And honestly, she isn't important to the prototype like Mommy Longlegs for him to waste time and energy resurrecting her. I'm pretty sure we'll encounter Dooughey again as an episodic monster trying to catch us, but we know that this time he'll probably meet the same fate as Miss Delight. And since we're talking about smiling critters, it would be a crime not to mention Hoppy Hopscotch, who first appeared to us in Chapter 3.
On 3 with me. 1, 2, 3! Heh, didn't get very far, did we? Again! 1, 2, 3! Nope, still didn't make it. Listen, this won't stop until we make it to the moon. 1, 2... No, don't look at your feet! None of that matters! Again! Jump!
Hey, what really got me hooked was that we don't hear any screams like we do with Bubba or Kickin'. But the devs decided to spice things up and keep us intrigued by showing a little snippet of her life in Safe Haven.
I need some help here! Hey, watch the door! Watch the door!
Right here. On the
There you go, bud. You're okay.
Okay! Look at me! I'm a mess! Poppy? What's going on?
We were trying to bring supplies back up to the elevator, but we got jumped. Had to turn all the way back around. So, what do we do now?
For starters, you two stay here tonight. Let things settle down outside. I'll find more food for you to bring up to play care. When you're ready.
Thanks, Dooughey. Sorry we lost the supplies. It won't happen again.
And it seems like nothing, just a small reference to an old character, and I'd agree with you if it wasn't for that damn note on the wall, where we find out that Hoppy disappeared and they can't find her. That's the real reason she's not in Safe Haven, and what's really interesting is that we haven't seen any solid proof of her death. So these references make you think that she might be, let's say, captured by the prototype in those very labs, and the chances of meeting her in Chapter 5 are pretty high.